Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. December 6, 2018. There's some interesting stories for you today. First up, Urban Meyer resigns. And the question is, was it related to the scandal last summer when confronted with reports that he knew his former assistant had been accused of assault by his former wife? He said that he had always followed procedures within the university. The investigation turned out that was not true, and that he'd also been involved in the destruction of evidence. He was given a 3-game suspension, and one can only wonder if this was part of the quid pro quo for a simple 3-game suspension. Next up, we have reported from the FCPA blog that Hong Kong's former Home Secretary was convicted today for bribing African officials of a Chinese energy company. Patrick Ho was found guilty after a 10-day trial where the jury only deliberated 1 day. He was Hong Kong's Home Affairs Minister from 2002 to 2007. He had offered to post bail, but that was denied. He had paid up to $2 million in bribes to the president of Chad. Next, we have Professor Andy Spalding, quoted in the Huffington Post around his opinion on whether the Trump organization's plans to give Vladimir Putin a penthouse and the Moscow Trump Tower would have violated the FCPA. He told the Huffington Post that simply because a payment never occurred does not necessarily get Trump or his organization off the hook. Although it's still not clear whether the bribe or rather the offer was made, it's still clear that if it was discussed with certain officials, then an investigation needs to occur. And it would certainly be a question of whether you could give a gift of such value without corrupt intent. Next up, and finally, in several newspapers, and the one I've cited too is the New York Times, are the reports of the Les Moonves investigation, which was apparently leaked. No matter how bad you thought Moonves may have been, this report is one of the most damning reports of sexual harassment and sexual conduct and even sexual assault that you will see in corporate America. It's also even more damning because these allegations were reported to board members who sat on them and did nothing with them. Some of the key takeaways were that the investigators found out that there was an administrative assistant on call to perform oral sex on Moonves. He had received oral sex, which was transactional, meaning it was a quid pro quo for a role or something else. We talked about the board member who knew about the sexual assault but did nothing. And finally, a secret letter was drafted for Moonves to resign, and he declined to sign this. This information may give CBS News the hook it needs not to pay him his $120 million in severance, but frankly, nobody comes out looking good on this, Moonves or CBS. This is Tom Fox. I hope you will join me for tomorrow's Daily Compliance News. Hey, the response to the Daily Compliance News has been quite gratifying. Several people have contacted me and told me how much they enjoy this daily summary, a short summary of compliance and corruption-related news. So I have decided to move this forward as a full-time series into 2019. Also, I hope you will check out some of the new offerings on the Compliance Podcast Network. Jay Rosen and I have started a new podcast series, Popcorn and Compliance, where we take a look at the movies and related to some compliance topics. Finally, Mary Shirley and Lisa Fine are starting a new podcast series, Great Women in Compliance. It premieres Wednesday, December 5th on the Compliance Podcast Network. I know you will enjoy it. This is Tom Fox, the Compliance Evangelist. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network. Thank you for listening.